Dear students, welcome to the next lecture of physical chemistry. We have been discussing about the properties of colloids. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the optical property and the kinetic property. Today we will discuss about the electrical property. The particles of a colloidal solution carry same type of charge, while the dispersion medium carries an equal and opposite charge to that of the colloidal particles. The charge on the dispersion medium balances the charge on the dispersed particles, and thus the solution is electrically neutral. The dispersed particles of a colloid repel each other since they carry similar charge, and this prevents them from settling down and thus maintains the stability of the sol. Based on the nature of the charge, the colloidal sols can be classified as positively charged colloids and negatively charged colloids. The charge on the colloidal particles originate due to preferential adsorption of ions from the solution. In general, an ionic colloid adsorbs ions common to its own lattice structure. Let us see some examples. Ferric hydroxide sol obtained by the hydrolysis of ferric chloride solution contains particles which are positively charged. This is because the ferric hydroxide sol formed adsorbs Fe3 plus ions on its surface, and thus the entire colloid gets positive charge. The equation is shown here. Similarly, in the case of arsenous sulfide sol, which is obtained by the reaction between arsenous oxide and H2S, contains particles which are negatively charged. This is due to the selective adsorption of S2 minus anions by the arsenous sulfide sol formed. Thus, arsenous sulfide sol is a negatively charged sol, whereas ferric hydroxide sol is a positively charged sol. In aqueous salts of colloidal electrolytes, self-dissociation and formation of ionic micelle cause the presence of charged salt particles. In the case of soap, the aqueous dispersion contains RCO minus anion aggregates, which is negatively charged micelle of colloidal size. It is represented in the figure. Another reasons for the charge of colloidal particles are electron capture during electrodispersion or frictional electrification. The electrical properties of colloids can be understood on the basis of electrical double layer formation. We have seen that the colloids either carry positive charge or negative charge. Now let us consider an example for the formation of a negatively charged colloid. Silver iodide. Silver nitrate plus sodium iodide gives silver iodide precipitate, which is converted into colloidal form, and silver iodide is negatively charged due to the selective adsorption of I minus anions. The preferential adsorption of I minus ions takes place in the presence of excess of the electrolyte sodium iodide. The ions which are preferentially adsorbed on the surface of the particles of a colloidal system are called potential determining ions. So, in the figure, let us see this is the negatively charged colloidal particle. As the surface charge is negative, it always attracts positive ions from the solution. The solution contains Na plus ions and NO3 minus ions. Na plus and NO3 minus. The negatively charged surface of silver iodide particles always attract positive ions Na plus and repels negative ions NO3 minus. As a result, positive Na plus ions tend to form a compact layer in the vicinity of the potential determining I minus ion layer. It is represented in the figure. The solution contains both cations and anions, and the cation is held more close to the colloidal particles. These ions are called counter ions. In this particular case, Na plus cations act as counter ions, and the layer formed is called Stern layer. The influence of the surface charge decreases with distance, and the number of ions, that is the number of Na plus ions in this case, also decreases as we go into the bulk. And at a particular state, the concentration of Na plus ions and NO3 minus ions becomes almost equal. As we move to the bulk of the solution, the number of Na plus ions and NO3 minus ions are almost equal, and the system becomes electrically neutral. So there exists a Stern layer and a electrically neutral bulk layer, and in between a diffuse layer which is referred to as Gouy-Chapman layer. As the distance increases from the colloidal particle, the number of counter ions decreases. Thus, in the close proximity of the fixed layer of charges, there will be more ions of opposite sign present in the diffuse layer due to preferential attraction, and this charge separation gives rise to a potential that falls gradually across the diffuse layer into the bulk of the liquid, where the charge distribution is uniform and the liquid is electrically neutral. The bulk of the liquid is electrically neutral, and the position which is very closer to the colloidal particle will have either positive charge or negative charge according to the nature of the colloidal particles. And this difference in potential between the position of closest approach of the ions to the fixed layer at the surface and the electroneutral region of the bulk liquid across the diffuse layer is called zeta potential. Thus, according to the electrical double layer theory, a double layer of ions appear at the surface of a solid. The ion preferentially adsorbed is held in the fixed part and imparts charge to the colloidal particles. The second part consists of a diffuse mobile layer of ions, and this mobile layer consists two types of charges. The net charge of the second layer is exactly equal to that of the fixed part. And the existence of opposite sign on fixed and diffused part of the double layer leads to a potential called zeta potential or electrokinetic potential. The figure shows an example of positively charged colloidal particle. Thus the fixed charge is positively charged and the stern layer contains more number of negative ions, and as we go to the bulk there is an even distribution of positively and negatively charged ions. Zeta potential or electrokinetic potential in colloidal systems is the potential at the interfacial double layer of a dispersed particle versus a point in the continuous phase away from the interface. Here the figure represents a negatively charged colloidal particles in which the stern layer is positively charged, and as we go into the bulk the number of positively charged ions and negatively charged ions are almost equal. This is similar to that which we discussed in the case of silver iodide, which is negatively charged colloid by the adsorption of I- ions. So in other words, zeta potential is the potential difference between the mobile dispersion medium and the stationary layer of the dispersion medium attached to the dispersed particle. The mathematical expression for zeta potential is derived from electrostatics. So if we consider an electrical double layer at the solid liquid interface, which is regarded as a condenser with parallel plates kept d centimeter apart, carrying a charge E per centimeter square, then zeta potential is given by 4 pi Ed divided by d, where capital D represents the dielectric constant of the liquid. As the solid particles and the liquid medium carry opposite charges, it is obvious that when an electric field is applied, the particles and the liquid will migrate to opposite directions. So experiments can be arranged that the particles can move but not the medium, and this phenomenon is called electrophoresis. The experiments can also be designed in such a way that the medium can move but not the particles, and that phenomenon is known as electroosmosis. Electrophoresis and electroosmosis are the electrokinetic properties. This is due to the charge on solid particles and the liquid medium, and the solid particles carry opposite charge to that of the liquid medium. So we will discuss about electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is the phenomenon of the movement of colloidal particles under an applied electric field. When an electric field is applied, the oppositely charged fixed and diffuse layers are displaced with respect to each other. And in the case of electrophoresis, as the solid particles are free to move, they migrate towards the oppositely charged electron. So negatively charged colloidal particles move to the positively charged electrode, and positively charged colloidal particles move to the negative electrode. Thus, by noting the direction of the motion of the colloidal particles under the influence of an electric field, we can determine whether the colloidal particles are positively charged or negatively charged. In an electric field, arsenous sulfide salt, which is negatively charged, always move towards the positive electron. Some lyophilic colloids such as proteins exhibit ampholytic character. That is, they will carry positive charge below a certain characteristic pH value and negative charge above that pH value. In the case of proteins or amino acids, at low pH values, by the addition of H plus to the NH2 group, the amino acid becomes positively charged. That is NH3 plus. At high pH value, when the medium is basic, deprotonation of the COH group takes place and the amino acid exists as NH2CHR COO-. At a particular pH, these particles would not carry net charge and hence it will not show the electrophoretic motion. When the net charge carried on the amino acid or protein is 0, the particles will not migrate to any of the electrodes under the influence of an applied electric field. The pH at which the salt particles of an ampholytic substance becomes electrically neutral and exhibit no movement by applying an electric field is called isoelectric point. At isoelectric point, the particular salt carries no net charge and hence it does not move to any of the electrode by the application of electric field. In electrophoresis, the particles of the dispersed phase move towards the oppositely charged electrode when an electric field is applied. If the electrophoretic motion of the dispersed particles of a sol is prevented by suitable means, the dispersion medium begins to move under the influence of an electric field. And this phenomenon is called electroosmosis. The movement of salt particles is prevented by semi-permeable membrane. And in this case, the dispersion medium moves to the opposite direction under the influence of an electric field. This phenomenon is called electroosmosis. When an EMF is applied, the oppositely charged fixed and diffuse layers are displaced with respect to each other. Since in the case of electroosmosis, the particles of the dispersed phase are not allowed to move, the diffuse layer in the liquid phase moves towards the oppositely charged electron. The sign of the charge of the diffuse layer determines the direction of electroosmosis flow.